This is a super delicious noodle soup I made the other day, combining various East Asian flavors with my own crude Italian techniques. These are ramen noodles, alkaline noodles, crudely shaped into something like handmade orecchiette pasta, little ears. It's inexpensive, requires no special equipment, and it's incidentally vegan. You can make Asian-style alkaline noodles with baking soda, the weak base most common in Western kitchens, but you can do one better if you drop a teaspoon of baking soda in a pan, turn the heat on high, and look, it's starting to clump as though it's wet, because it is. The heat causes a decomposition reaction resulting in carbon dioxide and water. Just keep shaking the pan for a minute or two, and when the powder looks super dry and fine again, you've probably converted it to washing soda, sodium carbonate. This will get you a solution that's at least one whole number higher on the pH scale, which is logarithmic, so that's a big difference. Between the gas I've lost to the air and the powder stuck inside the pan, I probably have half a teaspoon of washing soda. This is perfect for half a cup of water, 118 mils. And into that, I will knead as much flour as it will take. A high gluten flour like this is best for chewy noodles, but the alkaline solution will make even all-purpose flour noodles nice and toothsome. The more flour you can jam in there, the firmer the texture. It's okay if the dough looks a little shaggy, just cover and let the flour particles hydrate for at least 15 minutes or so. Meanwhile, I'm going to make my quick soup broth. I've got a stick of lemongrass. The outer layer looks yucky, so I'll peel it off and just snip that stick into chunks. I'm going to strain all these solids out. Man, that is so woody. Likewise, I'll snip in some fresh ginger. No need to peel because I'm going to strain it. The fibrous tops of the green onions I'm going to use later. Snip those in for the broth. Maybe I'll do some zest from the lime I'm using later. And if you want cheap dried mushrooms in my part of the world, go to the Asian market. Just get a couple handfuls of whatever cheap dry shiitakes or oyster mushrooms they've got. They're only for flavor. I'll cover all of that in plenty of water, enough for a pot of soup, and get that coming to a boil. When it's there, I might reduce to a spirited simmer and leave it for at least a half an hour. Plenty of time for my daily Ritual, sponsor of this video. I take the Ritual multivitamin for men every day, along with the new Symbiotic Plus for gut health. If you want nutritional supplements and you have any sensitivities at all, you want them vegan, no gluten, no sugar, no major allergens, etc., then Ritual is probably just what you've been looking for, delivered to your doorstep on a subscription basis, so you never run out or forget. My stomach is increasingly intolerant of basically everything, and the delayed release capsules are gentle on my innards. And with the Symbiotic, the capsule helps deliver live beneficial bacteria to your gut where you want them. It's a prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic in one. We're still just starting to understand gut health, but there's reason to think these little gut bugs could help relieve bloating, gas, mild and occasional diarrhea. It's never too late to start a new ritual. Hit my link in the description, ritual.com/AdamRagusea20. Use my code AdamRagusea20 and you'll save 20% on your first month. 20% off with my link and code in the description. Thank you, Ritual. I'll prep my vegetables. I've got a few carrots on the small side. Slice those thin so they cook fast. I'm going to cut everything on the bias to get me ovoid shapes, similar to the shape of the noodles. That's probably not something that's actually worthy of my attention, but whatever, gotta cut it in some way. Same deal with the fresh chili. That's a lot, I might not use all of that. Cut the roots off the green onions, and these I will slice a little less thin. They soften super fast. Cut the lime into wedges for squeezing at the table, and then I gotta move all this to a plate because I need the cutting board for the noodles, but not yet. I'll take the rested dough and roll it out into a snake right on my counter. No flour or anything. I'm relying on the dough to stick a little to the counter to help me roll it as thin as I can get it, which won't be that thin. It's a very tough dough, the way we want it. Now I'll get back to the cutting board and just slice off as thin a piece as I reasonably can, kick it away with the knife, and then repeat. This is just a great way for anyone to make their first fresh noodles or pasta of any kind, because you don't need a roller or even a rolling pin. I'll dust those in a little flour to keep them from sticking to each other and continue. I'm actually going to try to keep the dusting to a minimum. I don't want to dump too much loose flour into my soup. Yes, I'm going to boil these directly in the soup. I know lots of hardcore ramen makers insist you should boil them separately in their own water, but that just seems wasteful to me for something as rustic as what I'm making. That's enough noodles for like 4 portions of soup. For orecchiette, I would normally go back and smash each of these with my thumb, but with the alkaline treatment, I love the chew these have when they're a little thicker as is, so done. Time to strain and discard the solids from this broth. You could use a spider like this or a wide slotted spoon or pass it all through a sieve. Really, the mushrooms have given all they've got to the broth. They're just chewy shells now. Don't bother attempting this with fresh mushrooms. They don't taste nearly strong enough. That's already a pretty meaty, meatless broth, but I'm going to boost it with some soy sauce, a splash of rice vinegar or any other mildly flavored vinegar, stir and give it a taste. I think I'll give it a spoonful of sugar. In my cultural context, that's a Thai food vibe. And I'll keep adding soy sauce until the broth is as salty as I want it, which should be a little too salty because the veg and the noodles are going to steal some salt. Carrots in first because they'll probably take 10 minutes of boiling to get soft. You'll need to replenish some of the water from time to time if you want a lot of broth, which I do. 5 minutes to the finish line is when I'll stir in my onions and chili slices. Look how beautiful that is already. And then when I'm 2 minutes out, I'll dump in my noodles. Stir those in, bring this back to a boil, and you're going to think, oh no, all that flour is ruining this soup. It's all foamy. No prob. First I'll drizzle in some toasted sesame oil, both for flavor and to break the surface tension of the bubbles. Then I'll turn off the heat and throw in like a cup of frozen peas straight out of the freezer. They taste good, they get you a complete protein with the wheat, and they rapidly cool this down to eating temperature, at which point the foam will disappear, and all that starch will actually thicken this broth slightly. I'll get myself a bunch of fresh cilantro in the bowl and squeeze in a little lime. I am not a vegan, and sometimes I wonder why I bother making a broth with a whole chicken or whatever when this is so quick and cheap and tastes arguably better. The noodles have such a great snap. If you don't want to use eggs in any fresh noodle or pasta product, try a little washing soda instead for firmness. There's also sodium in there, so the washing soda seasons the noodles a little, but don't use much more in the dough than I did or else they'll start to taste bitter. But this is just sweet and sour and savory and the perfect thing for yet another rainy day around these parts.